Level Up is a regular podcast that brings you topics to help you perform at work and in life at your very highest level. Your host is Dan Chiodo, an executive coach, corporate trainer, and author. He is president of Impact Training and Executive Coaching. And now, here's Dan.
Hey, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. Another day on Level Up, another beautiful day on Level Up. Place to go when you want to grow. So we have a topic that is excellent for this episode, and it's all about change. It's about being a real change agent when all sorts of things are thrown at you. So as an executive coach, when I work with people, we do the DISC assessment. And one of the questions we ask is, how are you with change? And basically, I'll find that some people are great with change. They have a healthy attitude about it. And then some people, not so much. They just don't like that change. Well, today I'm bringing you someone who I've known a long time, a real professional, and he can change on a dime. So I think it's a good lesson for all of us to talk about that. Now, he started in the radio industry and had 20 years there, including being a news editor and also a digital editor, a multimedia manager, a marketing, promotion, and events manager, and moved from that field into print, into newspaper and magazine, and has done media fellowships, one, the Maynard Institute for Journalism Education of Media Management, that program at Harvard University. Now, today he's in Florida as the marketing and events manager for Suncoast Media Group, and I'd like to welcome Dave Woods. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, thank you, Dan. It's nice to be here.
Oh, it's great to talk to you. And I think this is such a topic that a lot of people want to think about change, how they deal with change. So I guess I want to throw that out to you first, to say, with all the changes you've had, industry changes, geographic change to be here in Florida, and all the other changes in your life, what is your philosophy about change? How do you approach it?
Embrace it. That's my approach to it. I think recently, since March or so, we've all had to adapt and change, whether we like it or not. But just historically speaking, I'm one of those people who thrive on change. I embrace it and try and nurture the folks who don't, and make it more comfortable for them. But in most of the positions I've been hired to fill, they were looking for a change agent, someone to come in and either start a new program or shake an old program up. And you got to walk a pretty tight political rope when you do that kind of thing to not alienate those you work with. But change ain't going away, and everybody ought to get used to it.
I think you're right. And it's interesting. I like that word you used, nurture, because some people are change agents, but there's just a lot of dust flying around them and others don't figure them out. So tell us a little bit about nurturing people in terms of change.
I think I know that when you create chaos during change, organizational change, institutional change, life change, that puts people off balance, and they're much less willing to accept the new reality that they must in order to adapt and grow within their professional position or their social position. So I try and figure out what people's strengths are, test the waters, and always, when put in a coaching or a nurturing position, try and do what they think is comfortable first, rather than, as you said, just kick up a lot of dust and create a whirlwind. I think of the old the cartoon with the Tasmanian devil in it. That is not good change. That is not being a good agent of change. And that's just creating chaos for chaos's sake. I think responsible agents of change are able to adapt to the needs of the people they're working to either delicately nudge in a new direction, or when time demands a harder turn, to really steer quickly, but take them along and make sure you have the buy-in necessary for them to accept the pace at which you need to move in order to make the change, to meet your goals, your deadlines, or your initiatives.
Yes. So probably different people look at change differently or react to change differently. Do you find that you have to approach different people over the years? Have you had to approach different people in different ways to move them along, kind of
Absolutely.
get them on the same page?
Absolutely. And I think that is a characteristic that some people have or they don't. I hope that I am lucky enough to be able to adapt to the needs of the situation and not just have a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach to driving initiatives and to driving revenue and to driving adaptation. I think it's essential to be a good manager, to be a good coworker, to be a good spouse. I mean, you've got to look at people and understand the rate they are willing to change, and be willing to nudge a little bit if you have to, but making sure that they know that they are not in danger, that they are taking the lead, and that you are there to support them during this change, during this transition.
I like that. Do you find over the years that sometimes it's not just people who report to you, but maybe people around you, other colleagues that you need to work with to get them to see that we must change?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in my position and positions over the years, particularly in media, I have seldom been a manager of people. I have always been more of a project-oriented manager. I've been brought in to make institutional change. And, a few times I have people under me that report to me. But I think the most fascinating thing and the thing that I love doing is managing horizontally and managing vertically, because I've been very lucky from my time in radio to you and further on in my career that I have been blessed that people I report to tell me what their goal is, what their direction is, and what their timeline is, and then they just get out of the way and leave it to me in order to meet those goals and to bring the team along in order to achieve our institutional goals. And that to me is the fun part, because I think then you can, it may not be your goal, but once it's given to you and your marching orders have been directed, it becomes the team's goal. And supporting the team and supporting my management structure has always been very important to me.
That's right. That's right. And I like that, the team's goal. I think sometimes there are individuals that feel as if a change maybe isn't correct. It's not the way to go. And I always like it when they ask questions so that they can try to embrace it. But there are also those people who don't intend to embrace it. They intend to try to get people off the right page and go in a different direction. Meetings, for instance, sometimes have a devil's advocate, or maybe even a leadership team. Right. There's always a devil's advocate. I like that, because maybe the devil's advocate will think of something I didn't think about. Have you ever had a time or known a person that whenever you were ready to make a change on something, they said something pretty valuable and it made you turn course just a little bit?
Oh, every day. I mean, I am seldom the smartest guy in the room. Because I'm not necessarily out there in the trenches and in sales maybe, or in a territory when we're speaking of sales, or working in a specific category, say it's automotive or marine or recruitment. I'm not the smartest guy. And I have to respect what the people who deal with these clients, these customers, these advertisers, these folks in local government, I have to really understand that they know a whole lot more than I do about these people. And I have to listen and I have to hear what they say. I can appear to listen with the best of them, but I truly have to hear what people are saying and take their input very seriously. I may not agree with it. They may not agree with me. But I have always been able to find the middle ground and try and not bully people into the way that I think it should be done. Now, mind you, I've bullied to get my way in a meeting or to get my way in an initiative, and not always been proud of it. But in some cases, it was the way to get to the goal. And that's always that should be everybody's goal, is to get to the best possible outcome for whatever initiative you're managing or for whatever outcome you hope.
Yes, yes. Well, you're pretty good at it, because I've seen you accomplish goals, and maybe you did have to get a little heavy-handed, and yet everyone's smiling and following you. So that is certainly a good sign. Certainly.
I'm always reminded of the movie Runaway Jury, when one person can, however they achieve it, bring 11 other people along, perhaps with their consent, perhaps without. But sometimes that's just the reality of the situation when there is an outcome that is desired and you have to get everyone there. It's a lot of negotiating.
Yes. Well, tell me if you think this is true. When I work with organizations and we look at their values and I ask them, what are some of your values? If they don't tell me that they want people who can change, who are able to change, I usually suggest that as a value, because I know very few industries where that's not happening now. And I think to hire people without that value of being comfortable to change might not be such a good thing.
Evolve or die. I mean, that's the way it is in this modern world. The dinosaurs failed, but most of us are very easy to adapt. We can evolve. We may not like it. I don't always like it, but that is what we have to do in order to survive and to thrive. And if you are able to adapt and to evolve, you will thrive.
Yes, survive and thrive. There's something else that you say, which I really like. You talk about embracing the new and nurturing the old. Tell me what that means and what that means to your industry.
Well, obviously, right now I'm regional digital sales manager for a media company in Florida. We have several titles. We have a digital website, news site. We have magazines, but we also publish newspapers. A half a dozen of them on a daily basis. And while I am the digital sales manager, I believe I like a newspaper in my hands with my coffee every morning. I like my horoscope. I want to do my crossword, or at least what I can complete of it. But we have to, in my industry, in broadcast, just everywhere, embrace digital, but also continue to nurture print, particularly in the market where I am now. We are a retirement market. We have a graying population and always will. And, we enjoy a growing readership and a growing subscriber base, both on the print side and on the digital side. So we're very unique. But the way we make that happen is to not only embrace digital and the new way, really not so new now, we've been doing it a long time, but also to continue to nurture our print readers, both of magazines and newspapers and periodicals and inserts. And it's a balance, but it's essential. It's an essential balance. Embrace digital and nurture print.
Yes. I think a lot of industries need to do that so that you don't lose anyone along the way. Those who have been good to you, and then newcomers that people are coming on board.
I think TV is even similar, radio is similar, because you have to continue to embrace the new over-the-top TV, connected TV, Pandora and streaming music services. But at the same time, you have to support your terrestrial brothers and sisters who are, real people in real studios broadcasting every day for an hour and a half. Again, embrace digital and nurture your traditional audience, because it's all about audience.
It is about audience, and both things can survive. That's the part I like.
Yeah.
There was a coffee shop recently who is no longer offering print newspapers, and that devastated me because I want a paper in my hand. And it's interesting. I listened to the manager tell folks about it. A gentleman came in, and this has been now maybe a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. He said, well, "Where are the papers?" And the manager said, "We don't have them anymore." And the gentleman said, "Okay, I'm going to go to that shop that has one, then I'll come back and get my food." So still got the food, but needed the newspaper. What was interesting was that this coffee shop was offering it online, 8 different news sources you could get. So it's really not we don't have that, it's we now have this. So I think you have to help people along, no matter what age they are. Help let them know that you're still there for them. You're still providing what they need.
And I think as long as we all work to provide our audience, whatever that is, with the content that they desire in the format that they are most comfortable consuming it on and in, I think we all succeed.
This is a good time for a break. So let's do a commercial break, hear from our sponsor, and then we're going to come back to talk to Dave Woods about change and discuss more things that could affect you. And I want you to start thinking about, how am I with change? How do I handle it? This is Level Up.
At Express Employment Professionals
in Gulfport, Mississippi,
in Springfield, Illinois,
in Bend, Oregon,
in Champaign, Illinois,
in Corpus Christi, Texas,
in Jersey City, in Fishers, Indiana,
here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We're on a mission.
We're on a mission.
We're on a mission. We're on a mission.
A mission. A mission. A mission.
A mission. Mission. We're on a mission to put 1 million people to work.
Well, Dave and I are back, and I notice that you are too, so that's a good sign. Glad you're here with us today. Dave Woods is my guest, and this is all about change, how to be a change agent. And while we talk about change a little more, maybe you want to think about how you are with change. If we were rating it from number 1, hate it, to number 5, thrive in it, what are you? And maybe as we discuss it, we can get you to bump that a little bit in the direction of being a good change maker. So, Dave, tell me about a project or a program, and you changed it, and it didn't work. We've all had that happen to us. So what do we do? What should we be thinking and doing when that happens?
I will protect the names of the people involved, but at a point in my career, I was recruited to come and be a change maker to bring digital sales and advertising to a group of TV stations. And I'm not sure why, because when I got there, the general manager of the station had absolutely no intention of embracing digital, nurturing traditional broadcast. I think I was just brought in to be a figurehead and just to let people think that there was going to be change made. And after about 6 months of working tirelessly to convince these, dyed in broadcast sales representatives and managers that, digital is a good thing. You've got to be there. It is the space that you have to embrace while continuing to nurture traditional broadcast television. And while I tried and tried, was just shut down at every turn. And because I was unable to execute this change, I decided that it wasn't worth it, because the buy-in was not there from the top down. And I think if you are put in a position to make change from the top up here, you've got to have the support and the downward pressure in order to not pay lip service to change, but to truly execute it in a way that allows you to grow. And that was one situation where no matter what I did, all the weeping and gnashing of teeth that went on, I was unable to execute it. And for a long time, I blamed myself in that. But then I realized at a later date that no, there was never going to be the change because there was not the buy-in up here in order to make the change down here.
Yes. You know, everyone watches, let's say the corporation, the leader, every level. If you are one of the employees, one of the team members, and are asked to change, I think they're watching every leader to see how they really feel about it, whether they're passionate about it or not. And if they're not, it's going to come across. And so you really have to genuinely believe this, I think, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you can tell, as meetings go along on a particular initiative or something where change is not only expected, but demanded, changing the way you do business. If you can see as meetings evolve, the people who are not coming along, the people who have no intention to coming along, they're not just devil's advocates, but they're obstructionists, and they want to put up barriers and literally stand in the way of change. And that's kind of when you get down to change the people or change the people. And I mean, it's a cliche. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie, and it is absolutely true. If adapting to survive is essential, then you have to sometimes have very difficult conversations and make decisions that are uncomfortable but necessary. And that's just part of the business.
You know, yes, if we had a sports team, we would want all A players. I don't know of too many that say, give me a couple of B's and C's and a D too. No, you want all A players. And also, the people on Broadway on some of those shows have been on stage for years. If they weren't the very best, they would not still be there in those spots. But sometimes we don't look at our organizations that way. We think that, we don't want to change the people. And sometimes you do have to change the people.
Yeah, I've been very lucky in several different instances where there may not have been a position for me specifically, but I was available and I had folks advocating for me who knew that they wanted me within their organization. And many times it's about getting the right people and then figuring out where to put them.
That's right.
And I think that is the case with any number of people. Right now there are a couple of big media organizations who have recently merged and have had significant staff reductions. And we have been blessed because there is a lot of really good talent out there available right now. And while we may not have positions for which they think they are perfect for, get them in the door. And then as things happen and we continue to grow and evolve, we'll find the place where their skill sets are going to be vital and where they can succeed and thrive. And that's luckily, that has been the position of many places where I've worked. And in fact, working under you, I was surreptitiously brought in under a cloak of darkness in order to get my position, and it worked out fine for all of us, I hope.
Tell me more. You know that I feel that way. I feel like when you have a star, that you're going to find a way to hire them because they're going to do some great things for the organization. Some folks that are major CEOs, when you look at where they started, you find that that's the thing to do. And I think, too, to always be recruiting to so if you're a team member and not a leader of the organization, the message to you is always be the star, always be at your best. But as leaders, I think we have to always be looking. I used to laugh, my wife in her position, in her corporate position, we would be in the supermarket and we'd be in line And I noticed that I was talking and she wasn't listening. And then I realized she's listening to a conversation behind her. And she would turn around and she would say, our organization is always looking for good people at various levels. If you know of anyone, please give me a call. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, well, when I hear someone, they sound like a talented person, they sound like a good person, that's the kind of thing I want them to know there may be an opening. So I agree with you. Right now, at this time, is a chance to get the very best people, because there are people looking for positions out there.
Absolutely, and not just those that are unemployed, but maybe underemployed, or looking to improve their lot in the corporate world. I find myself being someone who is involved in the hiring of media sellers, of multimedia account executives. When I get a server in a restaurant or a bartender who can upsell me, because I go in pretty convinced that I know what I want. Mm-hmm. If you can upsell me, then you can sell ice to Eskimos, as they say. And I have on any number of occasions slipped my business card with the tip, with a note on it that said, call me, because, the people, are not always that easy to find. Anybody can sell, but not everyone can charm.
Yeah, I like that. Here's another one, that a person may not remember what you said, but they do remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
And sometimes, we just get a good feeling about that person. Now, some of our viewers, perhaps they're very happy where they're at doing what they do. And others may be thinking, I wonder if it's time for a change. Mm-hmm. I'm always, with my clients, looking at whether they're happy or not. I can tell right away if maybe they need a change because they're just not happy anymore, and that's a true sign. But for you, you've made changes within the industry, and what came about to make you say, I think it's time for a change?
In some cases, I felt like I had topped out within the organization, and I am an overachiever. So I always want to be doing something to get me to the next level. I may have topped out. I may have been put in positions where I wasn't getting to do the things I know I excel at, maybe by default. Maybe, they just needed someone here and my skill set is wide, but not necessarily that deep, so Dave can do it. Sometimes I just got bored. I was recently in a position where the monetary reward did not really merit the lack of happiness I got from accomplishing the things I like to accomplish. And in a couple of those positions, opportunity has presented itself at exactly the right time. And I, while maybe afraid, was not stopped from saying, I can do this, and embrace it. That's what I've done. And you don't necessarily move from the Midwest to Southwest Florida when you were perfectly happy, maybe in the position you were in before. But when an opportunity arises and you can kill that job, take a chance, make a change.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Now, in your job right now, you work with different generations. So are you a Gen X? Is that right?
1964, last year of the boom.
Okay.
I'm on the cusp.
Okay, on the cusp. So tell me a little bit in terms of working with different generations. What do you learn from them and what do they learn from you?
Within my organization now, I have active working 70-year-olds who really are nowhere near done. And they don't want to sit down. They live and work in a retirement community, but they have no intention of retiring. And they could, just because they love what they do. At the same time, I have very new multimedia marketing executives who have maybe been in the business a year or two that are in their mid to late 30s, truly your millennial types. And I think my goal with those folks is to get up and walk across the room and engage with people. Go visit an advertiser, eyeball them, get to know them, and don't just rely on email or text to correspond, because nothing is a substitute for that human interaction, that human experience, and particularly now that we're all masked up and all you can see are eyes, trying to convey to people how to smile with your eyes and be willing to convey more emotion with your eyes, because that's all we have now. That and our ears that are pushed out by masks.
That's right.
You know, and with heritage employees, trying to make sure that they're not scared of the technology that I am an advocate for. I mean, I as far back as 15 years ago, I remember being in a newsroom and being the first digital editor there. And anytime I walked towards someone's desk, no matter their age, they just saw something new coming, something that was scary. I was going to make them do something that these dyed in ink newspaper folk were not comfortable doing. So my strategy was to grab the kind of bold heritage rep or reporter who, you know, had years and years of experience, and grab her and say, we're going to go do some digital. And, you know, so I strapped a MP3 recorder to her waist and sent her out on a coon hunt in the middle of the night. And, you know, we chopped that all up with, you know, pictures and made a video slideshow with all this ambient noise of coon dogs barking and raccoons screeching. And it was really compelling. And she was so proud, because none of those young Turks had it been engaging. But talk about getting a group of young people to engage quickly. Take that heritage employee out, show them how to make a change in the way they do things, and everyone else will follow along.
Wow. And that's a great example of someone who's probably, as you said, frightened at first.
Oh, yeah.
Then did it.
Not of coon dogs and rabid raccoons, but of an MP3 recorder.
Right, right. And I'm sure very proud of what she did.
Yeah, I was too.
Great. That's great. One last question. Audiences.
Yep.
Some of what I'm seeing in organizations is that we have to look at things a little differently. Some things we are delivering differently. In some cases, we're starting over. We have maybe new products, new services. And in that, you may be talking to new audiences now. So some thoughts on audiences.
Well, I think those of us in media, TV, broadcast, radio, newspaper, billboard, whatever it is, if we don't understand that we have to speak differently to different audiences these days, then we're going to miss the boat. I mean, I probably have 20 different audience solutions that we offer to our advertising and marketing partners, because they all give you the opportunity to speak to different audiences in different ways. And now with the TikToks and the Snapchats and the Instagrams and the Facebook and the Twitter, you know, and all of the targeted digital solutions that we are able to bring to bear, we can really not only provide our traditional audience, whether that's broadcast or print journalism, but we can say, okay, I want to reach a 49-year-old mother of three who has an empty nest and drives a Buick and has 2 old blue dogs, and I want to reach her 5 times a week while she's on Facebook, and we want to make sure that she has a household income of this. And I mean, there are 500 different data points to create audiences. I mean, in our historical background, we took the audience that we got, but now we can create audiences. And provide our advertising and marketing partners with audiences that are based on their perfect customer. And we can not only provide them that audience, but we can provide them metrics and analysis that says, not only did we present your advertising message to these perfect customers, but we can tell you how many came to your website, how many saw your message and walked in the door of your brick and mortar business, how many picked up the phone and made a call. And not only did they make a call, but we recorded that call. And here's how your customer service people and salespeople finessed them and wrangled them and either did or didn't make the close. And if they didn't make the close, then there's a teaching moment for that advertiser and marketing partner that they would not have otherwise had if it weren't for our ability to leverage audiences for their benefit.
That's great. That's great. And we now have the power to know all of these things about our audiences, which in the past we may not have had.
Yeah. And we don't have to just take the audience that is thrust upon us, that passively gets to it. We get to with our message. We can actively engage those folks in a way that we never have been able for as media companies, and it's only going to get more sliced and diced and specific because it's all about delivering the right message to the right person at the right time when they're most willing to make a buying decision on the device they are most comfortable making those decisions on. So it's an exciting time to do what I do.
Well, it is. And I think that's a perfect ending note. And I know that what you've said will get to the right person at the right time to give them the right message. That is beautiful. And, all that you've said about change, you've really enlightened me. And I think of Dr. Wayne Dyer, who said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so I know that this will happen for our viewers too. And I just thank you for sharing all your wisdom, Dave.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes. Well, I'd like to again thank Dave for giving his time to do Level Up, and also thank all of you for watching Level Up too. How can you live life a little differently or level up yourself? Get to that next position, or if there's not a position, just maybe make some changes in your life. Well, if you look at our show notes, you will be able to see some of the things that Dave said and learn some things that might be applicable to your life. So certainly take a look at that. And we are going to save you a front row seat for the next Level Up episode. And Dustin, time to take us out. Cheers.
If you feel like this information was valuable to you, Dan would love it if you'd click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or thoughts about today's episode, please leave a comment. Also, if you're a first-time subscriber, be sure to ring that bell to be notified about future episodes. To learn more about what Impact's training and development can do for you and your business, visit impactbydan.com, where you can find more information about executive coaching, corporate training, keynote speaking, and much more. Thanks so much for watching.